Yeah, my life is very ordinary life, a life of a very ordinary Indian. But with a little bit of luck and with God's grace, I was able to achieve great heights, climb great heights. The family was refugee from Pakistan. I was born in Rawalpindi in 1945, 2 years before the independence. So I was 2 years old when the family came over to India. The word used to be Sharanarthi, right? Refugees. So it was a very unsettled life for 7, 8 years. And my father was in the army, and he moved a lot. And we finally settled in Kanpur in 1953-54, in that time frame. I went to Hindi medium schools in Kanpur. With a little bit of luck, I was able to get to IIT. And when I went to IIT, I didn't speak a word of English. I was able to read English, write English, but I have never spoken English in my life. And, there were people from Dunes to Mount Abu, they were very polished speaker of English. But English is only one thing here. Nobody was better than me in mathematics, Hisab. Nobody was better than me in physics. And within a few months, I was proving myself at IIT. And so in 1967, when I came out of IIT, there were no jobs. There were no jobs for people like us. Engineers from top-notch school, and the best you can hope to do is become a management trainee, doing non-technical work, or a sales, person for NMC. And it was kind of very strange because, we were in this new age, space age was happening, the computer chips were happening, computers were happening, but they were all in America, nothing in India. So I left in 1967. And when I got to America we think we are modern people from IIT. The Americans think we are snake charmers and beggars. The brand of India, the image of India was a land of snake charmers, a land of beggars. It was very bad image, very bad image. People will ask you, do you have snakes at your home? How many snakes do you have as your pet snakes? How do you charm a snake? They used to make fun of us. We did very, very well in studies. But when we did well, they wouldn't believe that we were doing well. You must be cheating. You must be cheating. My professors will always, stand behind me during the test to make sure that I wasn't cheating. But slowly and steadily, we earned the respect in America. And now, now the image has changed. Now the image has changed. India is now seen as a technologically and entrepreneurial powerhouse. Nobody thinks of India as a land of snake charmers and land of beggars anymore. I do want to give you a little bit of history, and before I talk about my core message. When the British took over India in 1800, we were the #1 economy in the world. We were the 25% of the world's GDP. We were the most productive, most creative, and most entrepreneurial people in the world. And when they left in 1947, they had reduced us down to 2% of world's GDP. Just to, and we were, they had looted us and, bled us dry. But the tragedy of India is that when they left their ideas behind. And the government, our own government, didn't believe in us, didn't believe in businesses, didn't believe in entrepreneurs. The government will do everything, socialism. And we were down to 1% of the world's GDP by 1991. So even our own government made us even poorer. Luckily, we had a Prime Minister, P.V. Narasimha Rao, who turned the ship around. And now 34 years later, we are 3.5% of the world's GDP. We were only 1% in 1991. You know, we are the fourth largest economy in the world now. Pretty soon we'll be number 3, maybe in another 3 to 5 years. And I ask people, are we happy being number 3? Yeah. Should we try to be number 2? Or should we reclaim our rightful place of being number 1 that we were in 1800? How many here are happy being number 3? How many of you want to be number 1? That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Yeah. So what do we need to be doing to become number 1? So India is becoming entrepreneurial. We have 200,000, 2 lakh entrepreneurs in India. That's just a drop in the bucket. That's just a drop in the bucket. Can we have 1% of Indians become entrepreneurs by 2047? You know, that would be 14 million people. You know, if the population is 1.4. If 1% of the Indians become entrepreneurs, there will be no doubt that India will be number 1 country in another 50 years from now. And that's the goal we should aspire to be. You know. And now, who can become an entrepreneur? Anybody here in this room can become and should want to become an entrepreneur. You know, entrepreneur is the ultimate self-expression. Is when you decide to pursue, you know, how to bring your best out, you know, how to achieve your potential. I talked about entrepreneurship as a personal tapasya. You go out and make it happen. 3, 4, 5 years of, you know, total concentration, and at the end you have the success. So what happened to me when I was a very good engineer, had a very good job, paid really well. I was only 35, and I said, you know, is this all there is to life? You know, can I do more? And the chance of becoming a manager, getting to at a company was 0. You know, Indians were still not thought of as managers. Well, we are good tatties. We have this gene, which gives us a good ability to do mathematics and science. But can we sell? Can we market? Can we manage people? Can we? And it was yet to be proven. So in 1981, I left my job. I said, I have to go try. I have to go try to see if we can do it. It was 2-3 years of very hard life. Not making, I was making good money and no salary now. But within a couple of years, I was able to find my niche. Computers were happening, IBM PC was happening, and I decided to do the network all these computers they had. Remember, so we were the first company in America to network computers, and those networks eventually became internet. So I tell people that maybe first million nodes on internet was supplied by my company. Company did very, very well. We went public. In 1987, going public is a very big thing in America. So it was the first company started by an Indian American to go public, and I was one of the first Indian American who had become a CEO of a company. And now we have Sundar Pichai. So now we have Sundar Pichai at Google, and Satya Nadella at Microsoft, and Krishna at IBM, Indra Nooyi at Pepsi. So we have 10% of all the CEOs in America are Indians now. Yeah, 10 to 15% of all the doctors in America are Indians. 25% of all the entrepreneurs in technology area are Indian Americans. The numbers are very astounding. We are 1.5% of the American population, 5 million people, but we are 10 to 15% of everything. Professors, doctors, engineers, you name it. So I tell people, you take an ordinary Indian like me from Kanpur, little bit of education at IIT and put him in America, he becomes a world beater. Why can't we do that for all the Indians? Why did we only build 5 IITs? Why did we not build 50 or 1,000 IITs? Yeah, nothing wrong with our genes. Nothing wrong with our genes. We are the smartest people in the world. Indians are among the smartest people in the world. The American, we laugh there in America that these new people coming from India, all of a sudden they are rising to the top. Americans don't work any harder than us, but they have their systems right. We have the democracy like they have a democracy, but we became socialist, unlike them. They are free market capitalist. So India is finally becoming free market capitalist country. When the problem is poverty, we have lots of poor people in India. Then we have to create more wealth, so we have more to go around. The only people in society who produce new wealth are the entrepreneurs. Government can never produce wealth. Government can never produce wealth. As a matter of fact, government destroys wealth by and large. And the best government destroys wealth slowly. And the bad ones destroy very, very rapidly. And we finally have capitalism happening in India. It should happen more. The difference between capitalism and socialism is socialism distributes wealth. Capitalism creates wealth. You cannot distribute wealth that you don't have. You only distribute poverty. So you have to create wealth before you think of distributing. So I think that everybody in this room should think of becoming an entrepreneur. We should have this revolution in India where we have 10 million entrepreneurs by 2047, and we will take care of all the problems we have in India. Thank you.